Bia Kamal ka Nuer online TV channel ka jan gwasa me bana rachi me bana jaling araja bukon linga rachi mishalat Dr. Martin Elia Lumuro aja Ramadan la government delegation kini rekona chunga ki kuumɛ South Sudan lo kene raja inshallah ka tumana peace initiative a team inshal ke UPA UPA a United People Alliance kan bondang wanten content chamat gwas kelten content shelad no bnei de dabne las gwas kel kuumɛ na bana jeling video de kono gi kel kuumɛ janman inshallah da UPA jannan lunga te dial de kon inshallah de me to ko mal en banje chuling kel kon dial manalat kana no.
And today we've had the opportunity to listen to the presentation of the opposition group and the whole-out group. We were expecting the presentation of the opposition and the whole-out groups to be a response to the presentation of the government yesterday, or to the framework that was given by the mediation to both of us in December. However, what we got today was a statement that was not really related to any of the two documents, either the document presentation of the government of the Republic of South Sudan or the mediation framework. What we got was a justification on why the parties that are called non-signatories did not sign the agreement on the resolution of conflict in the Republic of South Sudan in 2018. Basically, that they were angry that the government of South Sudan was manipulated and got the former Minister of Petroleum to pay billions of dollars to the government of Sudan as a compensation for the damages of the Hijilich conflict. But also that the government of Sudan has wanted to force the government of South Sudan to sign the Khartoum peace agreement, and because the former negotiator resisted, instead he was replaced, and another negotiator, whose name I refrain to mention, was put in order to sabotage and subvert the SPLM-IO, the SPLM-IG, and the SPLM North. Things that are not related really to negotiation or the protocols. They then ask 10 questions on that the government of South Sudan or the delegation ought to respond to. And these were really that basically the agreement was not implemented because it's well known that there is no political will. And that's why our president continues to say that the agreement was designed not to be implemented. And that when the government says that there's freedom of expression and freedom of movement, why is it that Dr. Riek and Deputy Speaker Nathaniel Oyet are not allowed to travel? Again, and many other points in that heading which are irrelevant to the negotiations. They then went on to talk about the failure of the agreement because, of course, there's no political will, and that the reason why now tumaini is important, tumaini consensus is important, is in order to take over the provisions of the R-axis that are not implemented or that are ongoing, because it is only sure framework that will ensure that the agreement will be implemented. So they built that in order to justify that the tumaini must be a standalone agreement, and that the 8 protocols will stay as they are, including the structures that are contradictory and in fact divergent to the R-axis, that namely that the National Leadership Council, the National Implementation Oversight Commission, the Security Sector Reform and Oversight Commission, the Governance Commission, and the the leadership, the panel, the high panel, should be in place. These are major issues that are not in line with the R-axis, and they are the very issues that the government of South Sudan raised its concerns in the first place in the early June protocols and in the October protocols. So what the opposition has presented is totally out of tune with the expected response to the 8 protocols and the position of the government in that respect. What we have now done is to take away the document and study it, and we may then come and respond to them accordingly on Saturday morning. So that's what's transpired. We were expecting a response to our presentation and or the framework given by the mediation in December 2024, but unfortunately we got reasons for why the non-signatory did not sign. Then we have questions as to why that government must respond to. We have justification and the reasons why the RSS failed, and justification to tumaini, and then concluding that the tumaini must be a standalone agreement with 8 protocols and the structures that they created, taking over only the provisions that they say we have failed to implement, and that's what they intend to do. We are not saying tumaini or Ark should be attached to tumaini. It's the opposite. The agreement called Revitalized Agreement on the Resolution Conference of Parliament of Sudan is too comprehensive. It has structures of government. It has programs defined in the agreement. It has maintained peace in the country for 6 years. There is no relevance to relate the suffering of the people of South Sudan to the implementation of the agreement. There is no conflict in the Republic of South Sudan. There is no fighting between the parties, major parties. The SSPDF, the IO, and other groups that are in the R-axis are not fighting among themselves. The skirmishes that we used to witness and encounter by the NAS have substantially diminished. So this political manipulation of the suffering of the people of South Sudan in relation to the R-axis is political. And we must understand now that if you go to South Sudan today and you look at the market, you look at how many people are now going to agriculture, and you see how many South Sudanese open shops, open small hotels, and you assess their economic viability, you will not repeat that statement. So I want to say that there are statements that are created to undermine the achievements of the R-axis, and that should not be allowed. What the people of South Sudan expect is for us to continue to implement the provisions that are outstanding and that are ongoing in order for us to take the country to election, and they can now elect their leaders. The economic situation of the country is like any country in the world. They have their own economic issues. We unfortunately have our only economic product, which is the crude, and passing through another country. And that's why we had Hejlich, is also disrupted production. We have now the conflict in the Sudan, not related to the Republic of South Sudan, disrupting production. And each party giving us conditions. And these are things which every South Sudanese who is loyal to the South Sudanese should say the truth as to what exactly is happening.
UPA spokesperson, United People Alliance, South Sudan Eastern Contin Laolat Group, Bondang Wantin Sharo Mat, Katin Kon Yakan Kalat kuumɛ Kenny, Tin Charlotte, UPA, Nanke Long Katin Kon in Nekalat Chikoben, different agenda, Chikoben Karuan to go, Tishimat Katin Kon and Latke, and A Kone Kon La Kum South Sudan. agenda ni kan lat gwasme dioje shimanan tok tin chijangach gwaye han ban nyoje kumrodien biatemal bye bye